Hey awesome people, today I wanted to get real about feelings with y'all. How should we be with feelings? My thoughts on this is that we shouldn't be afraid of our feelings. I think that that's the underlying current or thread that causes emotional difficulties. What do I mean by emotional difficulties? Whether we know it or not, we can get into conflicts with people around us at work or friendships, family. We get into conflict with ourselves, overthinking, just not enjoying being with ourselves. That's like a pretty big theme, I think, that a lot of people deal with still, unfortunately. We can even come to dislike ourselves. And all of these come from not accepting how we feel. Whether it's not being aware of our feelings and sort of repressing them down, we're repressing them, keeping them at bay, or perhaps we know our feelings and believe that they're just unacceptable and we try and bracket them out, which is nearing repression but not quite the same thing. But the core of it is that what we reject comes back at us with a kind of vengeance. I guess an analogy is, even if we do repress our feelings, which is so common, it's quite like believing that we have a still surface, you know, the sort of person that believes that everything's okay, or at least a lot of things are okay. And they believe that the fault lies with others, you know, they're trying to believe that they're perfect and so on, very common tendency. And I certainly have and am guilty of that. But we believe we have this calm exterior surface, you know, but underneath, running deep, are these currents. And really they're impacting our lives regardless of whether we're aware of it or not. We might think that it's very normal to judge people, to have conflicts, and it is okay to have conflicts because sometimes you do have to defend your boundaries as well. But a lot of the times we believe we're okay when really we're not, and our dreams, for instance, might tell us something different. You might have a dream, for instance, where there's violence going on, or you're being chased, or your teeth are falling out, whatever it could be. These are signs from the unconscious that are trying to balance you out because your conscious attitude is too, I guess, confident to everything is okay when it's really not necessarily okay. And so the unconscious will try to balance that out and try to get you to see that there's some stuff that is causing you arguments and agitation in your life. Now, if you do happen to be on the other side of the fence and you are the sort of person who doesn't believe that everything's okay, there's something wrong with you, you wish you were different, you're not, worthy enough, and so on and so forth. This can come from essentially rejecting yourself and the good parts of yourself. So it's the flip side of the situation. The person that thinks that they're perfect and everything is okay is rejecting the bad parts of themselves. But in this case, for you, if this does happen to be you, you are rejecting the good parts of yourself and you don't believe that they're there when they are. So again, the unconscious may try to get you to balance out that attitude. So with our emotions, this emotional turbulence, we're either projecting it out and believe that the world's crap, other people are crap and we're okay, other people should be like us, or we might believe that we're inferior and everything is not okay. But either case, the cause is emotional turbulence. There is something about yourself that you are not accepting, something bad about yourself, something good about yourself. That is the common cause and the thread here. So what can we do about this? Well, I think the first thing to consider is that the truth is, you are a human being. I'm a human being. And we have been evolving for millions and millions of years, and we have instincts and impulses and even genetically embedded memories from our ancestors, traumatic memories that can have a subtle influence on us today, and that can include unwanted or unacceptable thoughts. And then of course as well you've got trauma from growing up, being at school, you might not have a good family life, and so on and so forth. But in short, there are a myriad of factors that might lead to us rejecting ourselves, which is so very common, even if across the scope of society we're like, everything's okay, it's all fine. It's not totally fine. So the first thing to accept is that you're a human being that has been subjected to millions of years of influences, millions of influences day in, day out, since the day you were born. And so you don't have to hold yourself totally accountable for that. It's okay. Take a moment to accept that you are the way you are, and that some things can't change or won't change. And the ironic thing is that in many cases, when you do come to accept things about yourself that you don't like or have rejected, they do change, but only after you've accepted them. So give yourself that space for acceptance, that space for compassion for yourself as like a drop in the ocean, because we can really put the world on our shoulders, and that is just not fair to ourselves. It just isn't. So that's point number one. Put yourself within this broader context of beatific tragedy. And then secondly, be still. Give yourself space to feel your emotions and to let them come out. Thoughts and so on and so forth, including thoughts that you have rejected. And if you already know what your attitude is, you're Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, or you're Mr. or Mrs. Inferior, seek now to consciously balance that out and to see the other side of the picture. How are you not so perfect? How are you better than you believe you are at the moment, for instance? And let that all play out. Now, there might be some concern. Well, Kyle, to be quite honest with you, mate, I sometimes have violent thoughts or something that I really don't think is acceptable. I would urge you to accept those as well, because these are expressions of your feelings and are not necessarily things that will happen. Quite often when you repress it far too much, and I'm talking about extreme situations, then they will end up being acted out. So understand that when you're letting yourself observe these difficult feelings and thoughts, that you are giving them the chance to dissolve and dissipate in your psyche, in your mind and in your body. And you will find that after a period of time, a lot of unacceptable things will come to cease, but only if you will just pay attention and accept it first. I hope that makes sense. So that's it. Give yourself compassion, put yourself in that wider context, and then let yourself observe and accept what is going on within you. And that's the third thing as well then. If you know what your attitude is, Mr. Perfect, Mr. Inferior, etc., balance that attitude out. Let yourself see the wider picture, because it will only help you to feel better in the long run, to do better at work. The external and internal worlds of your life will get better from doing this. So, well, that was quite a rant. I was hoping this would be like a 5-minute video, but apparently not. But I hope that you found it useful. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know your feelings as well. Okay, take care guys, bye.